Hello, everyone. My name is Dustin, and you may know that, but you probably don't. Welcome to the Chillin' with Millennials podcast. Who are you?
Me? My name is Ian.
Yeah, you. Great. So we're the normal hosts here. Hope you enjoy talking about Korean dramas because that's not actually the main theme of this podcast. Obviously, it's just chilling with millennials, chilling with the boys that are of the millennial generation, just hanging out, having a good time. But we just so happen to be talking about K-dramas on this episode. Not all K-dramas and not like famous, or they are famous K-dramas, but not the typical K-dramas, mostly just like the Netflix ones that I've seen. But yeah, I think last time we started out a little bit of talk about one of the big K-dramas that came out last year, which was Itaewon Class. Very cool. Spoilers ahead for Itaewon Class and possibly something else. I don't know what else because we didn't plan it that well. But yeah, if you didn't watch Itaewon Class, go ahead and watch it before listening on.
Yeah, or if you don't care, no worries. Just listen to us and have fun.
True. Yeah, or it's just like if you're in the room with two guys that like watched a show and they're talking about it and you're just kind of like in the corner just like nodding and like pretending but you actually didn't watch the show. Yeah, that's kind of a situation you can simulate here as well.
Yeah, it's like Game of Thrones all over again.
Yeah, so let's jump right into it then. So last time we left off on episode 2, where Seroyi goes on a fishing vessel for 7 years.
That's not episode 2. That's episode 3, isn't it?
Nah, that's episode 2.
For real? Oh, that's when he gets out, and then he goes to Halloween.
No, he gets in and gets out in the same episode.
Yeah,
like it's literally like, all right, I'm going, and then he gets out. No, but we didn't actually. No. We have to backtrack a little bit more. Before he gets into the fishing vessel, he gets out of prison and goes to Itaewon on Halloween. That's where we left out.
Oh yeah, and then he gets drunk with what's her face, and then he tells her, "I'm going to go on a boat," and she spits at him, and then he leaves. Yep.
She spit at him?
Yeah. Because
I don't remember that.
He said he wants to open up a pub in Itaewon.
Oh,
and then
she spits.
Yeah,
she spits out her drink in shock.
Yeah, she does
like
a spit
2
tape.
times.
Yeah,
right.
So yeah, she spat at him.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I think she wasn't there alone. She was hanging out with friends, but then it ends up that they just hung out like as a couple for that night.
Yep. She's that friend who ditches her other friends to hang out with a guy. Yeah, she's that friend.
No, I mean, but he's not just a guy.
Oh, he's the guy. Yeah.
He's the guy. Anybody would be very lucky to end up with him.
True. I'd probably ditch you to hang out with Park Seroyi any day.
Yeah, if I could host this podcast with Park Seroyi instead of you, I would probably. So,
and that's completely understandable.
And I know you do the same, and that's just how it is.
Yep.
And I think most people would.
Yep.
You just got to accept these things. So,
Park Seroyi over everything.
Yeah. Basically, the show's about how Park Seo-joon is just a living god amongst men. That's one of the overarching themes. But yeah, so they just like hang out one-on-one, it's nice. They're like 21 years old, maybe 20 years old.
Yeah.
Just good times hanging out in Itaewon on Halloween.
Yeah.
As a couple.
Yeah.
Nothing official, but just some flirtatious vibes. Yeah, and then one scene that caught my attention was he like takes her back to her place at the end of the night, and then she invites him in, and he's like, "No, I'm not rich yet." Remember that?
Yeah, I was like, "That's cool. That's cool."
Yeah, that's pretty funny. He's playing the long game for sure, and he definitely came off as cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have been that guy. I'm just being real. Like I would want to be like Park
Yeah.
Sejun or Park Seroyi, but
You know,
like real talk, yeah.
exactly. That's why he's that guy. Like,
Yeah.
none of us can live up to this guy. Yeah, and instead of doing that, right before he goes through 7 years of hell by going on a fishing boat,
Yeah.
he never takes the easy way out.
Yeah.
And just, he's like, yeah, I'm not rich. See you in 7 years.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, and yeah, they just kind of like flash by that in like a minute.
Yeah, that really didn't like. I guess like in Korean, it like if you're Korean, you can probably imagine how hard it was. But for international audiences, I feel like you can't feel how hard those 7 years were. You're like, oh, cool, fishing boat. Because like there's like cultural context behind the fishing boat, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that could. I didn't get that really. I was like, oh, cool.
It's like Deadliest Catch. If you've seen like Deadliest Catch or like all those Discovery Channel shows that people kind of watch sometimes, it's kind of like that for 7 years, except it's actually a little worse because there have been cases where people were tricked into doing that and then were beaten for not like working hard enough. So it's pretty bad.
Yeah, that sounds pretty awful.
Yeah,
That sounds just awful.
yeah, like that. Like there are legit stories of people like coming back, like just completely like changed, like PTSD and everything from being on a fishing vessel.
Dang.
Yeah. So that was 7 years of his life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think it's interesting that that was his last night of, I don't know. He was having fun during that night, right before like going through all the pain. I think like basically his whole life has been painful, but I think that night was kind of a brief respite from the rest of the pain.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then at the end, he didn't even,
he didn't even what?
He's still being Seroyi.
I thought you were gonna say something like sold his loins or something.
Nah, he didn't do that. So yeah, cool guy. Goes on the fishing vessel, comes back. It's like 5 seconds in the show. Mm-hmm. But when they come back, so now Soo-ah is what, like late 20s, maybe early 30s at this point. Well, they're both the same age, like late 20s at this point. And she's like in a boardroom, I believe, with the top execs at Janga Corporation, which is the corporation that basically ruined Seroi's life. And yeah, it looks like she's been doing well. She's working there. She's climbed the ranks pretty well. She's kind of like talking directly with the chairman, Jang Dae-hee. Mm-hmm. And yeah, just kind of like owning the son, Jang Geun Won, in the meeting where he gets owned.
Well, it's not that hard. He's kind of a dumbass.
Yeah, it's actually hilarious how much he fails in the show.
Actually, his idea wasn't that bad, but it's just for the image, it didn't fit. But if it was like an offshoot, that made sense to me.
That might have been like one of his best ideas or performances in the show. Yeah. But he still got like slapped, literally. Yeah, I mean, everything else he did was pretty like dumb.
Yeah.
But at least that had like some, he could have argued better.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, the idea itself wasn't as dumb as like I think they said, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if the hub is the best example, but it's kind of like the closest example. Like, I don't think it really shies away that I think they kind of know what goes on in the hub and they kind of just allow it, right?
Wait, have you heard of Inosekia?
No.
So Inosekia is like a bar, I guess, or I guess you could say bar, izakaya in Japan, maybe Tokyo only, I don't know. Where you just like you go in with men or you go in as all women and then you kind of like get matched at a table like with an equal ratio.
Yeah.
So women can go there free, I believe, and then men have to pay like a cover charge. Yeah. So I think that would be kind of close to what it is. I think there are other chains like that, but that's like one of the biggest ones, I think.
Oh yeah, especially since group dating is like really big in Japan and even Korea, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, there was a group date in that show. I think it was like episode 4 or something, where like Yi Seo and her friends are out on like a group date.
Oh yeah, but that guy went in for a cold opening though. I gave that guy respect.
Oh right, okay.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it wasn't a group date. Okay,
it was a cold opening, and then he went in. I was like, bro, like he might have been an asshole for like slapping a girl, but give him props for taking courage and like stepping out.
Yeah. Turned out to be creepy, but
yeah.
Okay, so back to the storyline. How deep in do you want to get? Well, anyway, so it's 7 years later. They're in their late 20s, and then basically Sua has to like have a meeting in Itaewon, and then as she's walking through there, she just like passes this pub under construction, and it's like Seroyi working on it, and he's like, "Hey, Sua." And then she like flashes back to those memories of that one Halloween night where he was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna open a pub in Itaewon 7 years from now." And then she's like, "Wow, he did exactly what he said. What an amazing guy."
And then
I think that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, that was literally the first 2 episodes that we just finished talking about. Yeah, they really packed a lot in that first 2 episodes, though.
I feel like they pack a lot of actual events in all the episodes. Like you can just like jump in at any point, and there's like a ton of things that go on, and you don't need that much context because something wraps up and then something else like
happens.
Yeah,
but they do it in a way where it doesn't feel like it's just like bouncing from the next like disaster to the next thing, because it feels like
it's not like
it actually
Star Wars Episode 9.
Yeah. There's not randomly
it feels
choices.
natural. Yeah. No, the pacing's good. It's action packed. I guess you could say like episode 2 has the most questionable pacing, where 10 years pass in a single episode, but yeah, I think everything like flows together well, even though like tons of things happen.
No, yeah, they definitely
like almost every scene is a banger. I would say.
Actually, let me look. Oh, wait, that was part of episode 3 though, where
which one?
The boardroom scene.
Really?
Yeah.
But there was a boardroom scene before, so like the one where he gets slapped, I think is episode 3, but there was a boardroom scene in episode 2.
Oh yeah, I think she was going over like a concept for a new like branch or like new like venue.
Right.
Yeah. Episode 3. Oh, I remember. That was the one they did in the morning, the radio exercises. That was funny.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I wonder, do people know what the radio exercises are?
I don't think anybody knows outside
Japanese people.
Korea. And yeah, I guess Japanese do it as well.
Because my dad still does that.
Oh, what?
He watches a YouTube video and does that every morning.
Really?
Yeah.
Dang. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
No, yeah, because they used to play it on Hawaii radios before. Because they usually listen to that in the fields. They did that and then they started working. Oh yeah. I think it's mostly an Asian thing nowadays.
Do Chinese do that?
I would assume they do. I would just assume. I have no research, but my heart tells me we're all connected like that.
All right. Yeah, I guess it's not like a bad idea. It's just kind of like, it's pretty Asian, because I feel like in America there would be like, no, I'm not doing this.
Well,
like most people would just say nah.
For warehouses, a lot of companies are starting to have like beginning shift like stretches and exercises, so it's kind of making its way. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, which is good because that definitely helps with injuries.
Yeah, that makes sense. But what if you're like an office job? You know, like
it probably does help to like physically move around before work or like
That's true.
during work.
But I feel like people in America wouldn't like want to do it if they're just in an office job.
That's because they're not unified.
Exactly.
That's the
Yeah, I
problem.
think that's the big gap. There's like
It's
a very unifying thing, you know?
yeah, it is unified.
Like
in
getting up,
this.
doing the exact same motions at the beginning of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's, of course, it's great for the body, but I think that's like one of the other side effects of that type of exercise.
Yeah, it's like one band, one sound. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah.
what happened? What else? That was episode 3. What
So
else
episode 3, Yi Seo gets introduced.
Oh yeah,
And Gunsu.
yeah.
So actually, she gets introduced in kind of like a similar situation as Seiroi, which is kind of interesting, I suppose. Like where someone in her class is getting bullied, and then she's like an influencer on social media, so she takes like a video of them and posts it online.
She seems more like a
I
social
think,
kind of influencer, though.
Well, she does like food reviews.
Yeah.
She does like restaurant reviews, food reviews.
So
I think that's like her merit. I think like in the US, there's way more influencers that just don't. It's like they don't have any
value.
I don't want to say talent because their talent is being an influencer, and getting views.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know, external expertise, like an expertise that is not literally just getting views.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Their main expertise would probably be just brand marketing or self-brand marketing. That's about it.
Yeah.
But that brand,
yeah, there's tons of those in the US,
especially in LA.
Yeah, just self-promotion, which, don't get me wrong, is a talent, is an expertise, is hard to do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like I might be wrong, but I feel like there's less of that in Korean culture. Like, you actually have to have some type of merit.
Yeah. Well, I think there might be more people like that existing, or not existing, but coming out. But just
maybe,
I don't know.
Maybe
it doesn't. I don't know. That's a whole nother bag of crap that we can talk about.
Yeah,
that's social media.
But in addition to that, they kind of like Yi Seo's character. They kind of introduce her as a genius, like academic genius, athletic genius, social media genius.
Yep.
So yeah, she has a lot of talents, so great at.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like she's introduced as more as like perfect girl in abilities, but I guess like her weakness, they introduce as like there's an 80% chance that I'm a sociopath, and they kind of show like her backstory of she like pushed another girl to win the race, and yeah, all that type of stuff.
No, yeah, she definitely comes off as psychopath a little bit. Like yeah, like if I met someone like that, I'm like, yeah, I could sense it.
Yeah, but it's like 80% because there's some points where she shows like compassionate side, or like she changes a little bit.
It's really hard to tell
though. There are some points. Maybe it's mostly for Seiroi though.
Yeah, that's what I felt like, because I don't know, especially since I've been getting a lot more pessimistic. All the good things people do, I'm in the back of my head, I'm like, how much of the stuff you're saying is actually true, and what are your real intentions, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I have to think about that a little more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess like Seiroi is definitely that that beacon of light.
Yep. Dressed up as a chipmunk.
So yeah. Yes, so that's how they met.
Yeah.
Do you remember how they met?
Yeah, I remember. I remember him slamming the brakes and her flying backwards forward, just upside down, just calling her like a. I think she just used like the basic like Korean words that most people use when they're swearing in TV shows.
Yeah, that really broke immersion. I was like, wow,
Yeah.
this is some Looney Tunes.
No, yeah, I really did feel like that. And then
It's like, what is this?
he perfectly caught her, and then all of a sudden touched the back of the head, blood. Like, yeah, that feels like Korean drama ish. Oh, I'm perfectly fine.
Never hit your head.
Yeah.
Never hit your head in a Korean drama.
It's like never cross the street, never drive on a road where there's no other cars, and never hit your head.
Never have a good time for too long.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that means someone's gonna die. Die or get memed.
Yeah, so those are the definitely don't do's if you live in the universe of a Korean drama.
Yep.
So yeah, after he hits his head and then they're in the hospital, and then they kind of like talk briefly and get to know each other, and then they kind of leave, Yi Seo and Gunsu. So like Gunsu is the younger brother of, he's the second son of the Janga director, so the younger brother of Geun Won. Yeah, but he's a bastard. So yeah, he's the Jon Snow.
He's the Jon Snow of Itaewon Class.
yeah, except way less cool.
And he doesn't have sex with his hand.
And he actually just becomes a villain. So yeah, actually not the only. There's really only one similarity.
Actually, but Jon Snow kind of became a villain at the end.
Oh, I didn't watch that season.
Oh, well, spoiler alert. Yeah, that happens.
Oh, dang. All right, so I guess he is the Jon Snow of Itaewon Class.
He really is. Yeah. Some people like him. Some people don't.
Yeah, so what happens after that? Okay, so those two like want to go drink later that night, and then they try to go to the Janga pub, but then Suwa like checks Yi Seo's fake ID and then turns them away. So they're walking around Itaewon and they find Danbam, which is Seroi's pub. And yeah, they go inside and what's his name? The ex-gangster checks their ID and he's like, oh yeah, cool. Because they have no customers, so they're kind of like desperate. Yeah, and he just like lets them into the pub and they're drinking and stuff.
Yeah.
And then we can see Suwa look through the window. Something else happened, but basically it looks like she looked through the window and then the cops show up.
Yep.
Because they got a report of a minor drinking in the pub.
What? But he checked the ID and it was fine.
Turns out it was fake.
Oh, to think people use fake IDs?
No way.
Not in my day. Not in my day.
Nobody would have had a fake ID called McLovin. Nope.
We didn't have the technology for that.
Perhaps you're right.
So next thing they know, they're in the police station with, Seiroi as the owner of the pub and then the Gunsu and Yi Seo as the minors that were caught there. And yeah, it turns out that he's going to face a penalty, a suspension of his pub for 2 months when Geun Won, the older brother, comes in, and so he knows that Gunsu's in trouble, like at the police station for underage drinking, but he doesn't know it was at Seroi's pub. So he comes in, he sees Seroi, and he's just like cracking up because he's like, dang, like, what are you doing here? And then he offers to reduce, get him out of the 2-month suspension. Then Seroi just gets pissed, and he's like, aren't you a police officer? I wanted to be a police officer, but I couldn't. But isn't it your job to protect justice? So he, even though he was offered to get out of the suspension, he chooses to take the suspension. And then an iconic scene happens where Seroi storms off and Yi Seo comes and asks, hey, what's wrong with you? Couldn't you just have taken the offer just one time? And then Seroi's like, no, like, if you compromise your ideals one time, then you'll compromise them over and over. I was like, dang, that's pretty true.
That's deep,
and
but that's true.
Yeah. And then older bro Geun Won comes out and basically just like taunts him, says like, "Oh yeah, you think I responsible for your father's death?" And he's like, "Maybe I was." And then he starts laughing, and he's like, "Why don't you hit me?" But then Seroi's like, he's holding back this time, and and then he's like, "I got a 15-year plan," and he's like, Geun Won's like, "What?" And he's like, "The statute of limitations." And then he's shocked, and I think that was the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm just going a play-by-play right now. I don't think we need to do this.
Because, like, honestly, you guys should watch the show because it is, like, personally, that's definitely on my, like, top 5 or, like, recommended Korean shows to watch or just shows in general to watch. Yeah.
Oh, dang. Shows in general.
Yeah.
That's high praise.
No, yeah. I definitely think it's one of the better shows out there. Just because the messaging is really on point, as well as like the subjects they talk about. But we didn't talk about my favorite interaction though, which happened in the next episode, in episode 4. Because was it
okay?
It pretty much goes over the guy's name was Sung Kwan. He's the former ex-con who was Seidoi's former cellmate, and then he is now an employee of Donbam. So he's the one with the scar and who checked the ID and gave him a pass. So it kind of starts out where he kind of has a flashback of the first time he met Seiroi in prison. And I think the interaction that happened was that they get introduced in the cell first. The boss is like, "Oh yeah, that's Seiroi. Don't mess with him. He's kind of crazy." But yeah, and after that, in the cell yard or in the yard, Seidoi's just reading, and then the guy just comes up to him, and then he starts talking to him. And he's like, "What's the point of reading or like doing all that?" He's like, "Because, I'm trying to," basically he says that he's trying to better himself. And then he says like, "What's the point of doing that for people like us?" Or, oh no, I have it right here. "Studying is no use for people who come from nothing," is what he actually said, or was translated to what he said, which is kind of interesting because it kind of shows that even though you might be smart, if you don't come from the right background or people view you a certain way, it doesn't matter your ability, because people will still kind of like put you down, which I thought was kind of interesting.
That's true. But it's kind of funny in the show, Seiroi, like the kind of one of the biggest reasons that the show is compelling is that Seiroi proves all those like things wrong, because like I guess normally, like lots of people think that if you come from like a lower background, you have a disadvantage and you can't really achieve as much as someone from, at least a middle class background, which is true in a lot of cases. But I guess like because it's true, the fact it's an against the odds story that you're following in Itaewon Class, which is, I think that's like one of the main reasons it's really good and really like compelling throughout, especially for probably Americans.
Yeah.
But probably as well for Koreans.
Because
probably
that's very different.
It's even crazier.
Yeah, I know, because he's a high school dropout, ex-convict. Yeah, so he didn't finish high school or college, and he's a convict. And it's like, usually people would see that and then be like, they're either gonna do more crimes or just do manual labor for the rest of their life, kind of thing. Like that's all they're gonna write them off as. They don't see them as like a potential manager or like a business owner or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
It's actually interesting. I thought about it a little bit more today. So in the Korean society, they place a little bit more emphasis on your background. Like, okay, if you didn't graduate from a university, then basically you're disqualified from a bunch of different things. Test scores mean a lot. And all of these check boxes that you have to go through in society account towards a lot of your access and your influence and the opportunities you get in Korea. Whereas in the US, there's a little bit more of a pushback against being like cookie cutter.
Yeah.
There's more of questioning of the standardized test system. Like that doesn't really measure comprehensively what people learned. All it measures is how good you are at taking a test.
Yeah.
And there's more pushback against, just following the rules because, there's the American dream going from like rags to riches. There's different stories about how people got, basically made wealth and made monetary gain and success through basically business in the US. So there's like, to someone from the US looking at Korea, they would say, wow, how restrictive, that people have to like get these test scores. They have to go to these universities. They have to do all these things to have a chance. But like from a Korean point of view, I could see the merit in that. Don't you need a standard? Like, of course, the standard isn't perfect. Test scores are not a perfect way to measure intelligence, but maybe a imperfect measurement is better than no measurement. So yeah, I think like their culture is kind of more data-based and evidence-based than the US, which is, but at the same time, you could argue, like as an American, that that's a restrictive culture that restricts freedoms. So yeah, I can see like the pros and cons of it. But yeah, I think maybe before I thought, wow, like that's a hardcore thing. I don't really like that. But now I can see like there's some merits in it.
Yeah, because I've definitely seen like scenes where like people are talking to like other people, and they're like, "Oh, this guy failed not just one business but two businesses." It's like, why does he keep trying, kind of thing. It's like, but in America, to have an entrepreneur who failed two businesses is not uncommon at all. It feels like failing one business is like almost a standard.
Yeah, no, I guarantee. Like, basically, you have to fail one business. Like, if you didn't fail one business, I don't know, you got some help.
Yeah, you haven't found out what's wrong with you or where your weakness is.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like you were born perfect or something, which is not possible. So, yeah, in the US, if you failed two businesses, there's really nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Probably someone would just say, "Wow, like you had the courage to do it twice." Whereas, like probably in Korea, they'd be like, "Wow, you just suck at business."
Yeah, because they only see it as like the evidence of showing of your suckitude, But in America, it's showing like. The main message that a lot of Americans take away is like, what have I learned from it? And like a lot of American entrepreneurs echo that message, even especially even more when they become successful, which is why a lot of them tend to have like startup programs or like aid programs to help startups and different entrepreneurial like schools or like things that just help people make more businesses, which is really cool.
Yeah. So I guess Itaewon Class kind of like shows that, it's showing that a person that has these strikes against them in society, that doesn't necessarily make them a loser.
Yeah.
That was just like kind of his circumstances. And like, of course, people with talent can slip through the cracks and end up, not graduating high school, becoming convicted of a crime. So yeah, it is pretty interesting to have that be the main character and just kind of show a success story of it.
Yeah. Which is nuts. But yeah. Especially in an Asian TV show. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Seroyi is the MVP of them all. Continuing where it was it Seroyi? Was it? Oh yeah. They were talking about why was he reading people like us it doesn't matter for people like us. And then, he responds by saying, why not decide you can't do something after trying? Which is, again, kind of that American mindset. And then don't try to force me to understand your logic. Is your life over? You think your life is worth nothing? You have no right to determine my value, is what he was saying in response after the guy kind of kicked his ass.
Wow.
Yeah. Which, that again echoes that American mindset of like, I don't know, is it American or just entrepreneurial mindset?
I don't know. Is it American? Is it entrepreneurial? Or is it a human mindset?
I think it's America kind of accepts that entrepreneurial human mindset more than like a lot of like Asian countries do.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like one of the big Japanese, I don't know if it's Asian or Japanese, I know it's Japanese, is like, or I know it's used in Japan, it's like the nail that sticks out gets hammered down.
Oh yeah. Even my grandma said that.
Yeah. So that's like just that's just an accepted phrase, but to Americans, that's just like horrible.
Yeah.
That's probably a horrible saying.
Yeah, because I mean, we're literally a country of rebels. Not even like a couple hundred years ago, we were a part of somewhere and we rebelled to make our own.
True.
That's the American spirit almost.
Yeah, I guess the country was founded upon rebellion and independent thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think is Seroyi American? I don't know, or is he human? I'm not really sure because I can't have an unbiased view because I'm American.
That's true. Doesn't matter how hard we try, our bias follows us wherever we go. Just stamp him as just a Bamf. Seroyi, Bamf.
Yeah. I think we could all cross culturally agree that just he's the coolest.
Yeah. Yeah. Even from an American perspective, what he does and like the decisions and like things he goes through is still pretty badass.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's not like he's an American and therefore he's badass. Yeah, just of course his rebelliousness is American, but his commitment to ideals and his like commitment to morality and his commitment to people is very cool.
Yeah.
Very admirable even to Americans for sure.
Yeah, definitely transcends nationality and races.
Yeah, I think there's something human about what he does. Commitment to people, I think. So that's like one of the things that I'm like is a little controversial to me about that show. So what episode was it? So in episode 5. Yeah, episode 5, basically the pub's doing well because of the marketing. But there's one weakness basically in the pub, and that's like the food quality.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so pretty much what's her name? Hyuni.
Hyuni? Yeah.
Yeah, she just is not like cooking that well, or her food isn't that good. And so like Yi Seo wants to fire her. And then they all sit down at a table as a company meeting, and it looks like he's about to fire her. He's like, hey, like, he's just giving some speech. Like, we really appreciate what you've done for us so far. And then he gives her like an envelope with cash in it, like it's severance pay or something. And he's like, this is double your salary. So I want you to live up to it instead of like, firing her. So to me, and then she just like that made her work really hard. She got like help from Yi Seo, just like doing taste testing and helping her improve her cooking. And then within like, I don't know, a month, she like became like actually a good cook.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, it's like
that's very Asian.
I don't know. I felt like, is this realistic? Because like on one hand, how can you get from bad to good in 1 month? And it is true, like this is a truth, that some people can never become a good cook. Like, or do you think everybody in the world can become a good cook?
I think
if they practice,
it is possible. Because some people, even if you don't have good taste buds or sensitive taste buds, because people who have no, I've heard of like chefs who don't have any use of their nostrils or like their nose, so they breathe all through their mouth, so they don't usually have that
mouth breathers.
Yeah, literally like people who've had broken noses where it's like actually like affected their sense of smell. Those people are still able to be chefs. So it kind of shows that if you try hard enough, it is possible, but you probably need that determination and willing to like absorb everything. But I think it is possible for anyone to be a good chef. It's just, I think it's again like that whole willpower and just like putting yourself into it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I guess like, isn't Beethoven? Like, is he blind or something?
I think it was deaf
or something. I forgot. Yeah, he was deaf. So that's another example.
Well, I think he went deaf later though, but yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So that doesn't count that much. But I just thought it was it's kind of unrealistic to basically, like, of course you want to protect your people, you want to keep the same people in the company, but I feel like not everybody, obviously nobody's perfect, and not everybody can live up to the standards that you want. So are you going to just keep them out of pity? He didn't in this case, but let's say that she practiced for a long time and she still didn't get better. Then what is he going to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like that part, in my opinion, was pretty idealized. Obviously, like Seroyi as a character is idealized, but I feel like he didn't get put into a real situation. He was put into several hard situations, I suppose, but like, I don't know. In that part, I feel like at some point, you like, maybe he has to fire someone, which he kind of did.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I think that situation is probably a little different because he personally chose her, and we didn't go over this, but they worked in a factory together, so they already like knew each other. I think
right.
I think with all that information, he was probably able to make that decision. Because if it was like one of like just like a walk-in interview kind of thing, he might have thought to fire them. But since he knew that person and worked side by side with that person in like harsher conditions, it makes sense why he would think that she is capable of doing that.
Yeah.
Granted, that's probably giving them, like a lot of benefit of the doubt, but
No, yeah, I think that was like that's the counter argument, I think. Because he probably knew her grit and her personality, and maybe he would have fired her if he knew she couldn't, but he knew he knew she could, and that's why he just had to motivate her.
Yeah.
In the form of like the double pay and stuff.
Because yeah, that's also with the idea that they're not a lazy person, or because I've definitely met people who it's like they're just horrible workers from the start.
Exactly. Like if somebody like that is on your team, then what do you do as Seroyi? Like, do you protect them or do you let them go? Like, he wasn't in that situation.
Yeah. I don't know.
Like, all of the employees at least shared his like vision and shared his dream. I think that's key. That's like the main thing. But yeah, let's say there was just some like lazy person there. Then like, what are you gonna do? Tell me, Seroyi, what would you do?
I think he would have tried to find a solution, but if it didn't turn out like that, I think he might have been able to like just ask them, But yeah, I don't know. That whole like having the same dream is probably the main reason why he just kept them. Because yeah,
I think that's like probably the number one thing that you have to get right in your team is just like having the same dream. Of course, like there's tons of other things that have to go right too, but if you don't have that, then like at some point everything's gonna fail or something's gonna fail, I think. Yeah, I guess it was also like unrealistic that when they became like the number 2 corporation and they were all in some big office buildings and stuff, it was that exact same pub team that was like they were all executives. It's like,
yeah. Like it makes sense why Mai Hyunhee would be like an executive, because as like the founding chef who probably made the cookbook that all the franchises probably had to follow, that makes sense. Yi Seo, that's a pretty given, but like
that's true.
Sung Kwan is
like
kind of
Tony
like
and Sung Kwan. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they have some ceilings on what they can do, but maybe, I don't know. It's just a really crazy coincidence that his whole entire first team, and maybe he's just that good. Maybe Seroyi's just that good.
Yeah, could be.
He is that good. There's no evidence to suggest he's not. So, dang.
Yeah.
We're just not worthy.
We are not worthy. We're not worthy. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's kind of most of Itaewon Class. There's the whole like kidnapping thing and like whatever. That's kind of meh, you know?
that's kind of a weird part.
Yeah, honestly, like after they
I think it
became
kind of loses its.
after they became a corporation or incorporated, I kind of lost interest.
Yeah, it lost its soul. It lost the soul of the show.
Yeah.
Because like the characters are still there, but it's not a gritty fight anymore. It's not like down in the trenches running a pub. It's not like David versus Goliath.
Yeah.
It's kind of just wrapping up that story, I suppose.
Yeah. It's kind of like, making the pretty bow at the end kind of thing.
Yeah, like they had to like see it through, and they had to do it in a somewhat realistic way and kind of show it. So
yeah,
I kind of get that
without feeling like they just are trying to get it done.
Yeah, exactly. Like one episode later, Seroyi beat him.
Yeah,
they had to like kind of show it. But yeah, I think the soul of the show is before that point, and yeah, when it's against all odds and stuff.
Yeah, at that point you're just kind of going on the.
You're just like, yeah, I kind of want to see what happens.
Yeah.
So you want to talk about the love triangle?
The love triangle?
Yeah, love triangle.
Are you talking about? I was going to say something witty, but I totally blanked out.
Yeah, so there's
Yi
a love triangle.
Seo, and Seroyi. Are you talking about that one?
Yes.
Not about Sungkwan,
Seroyi and Yi Seo.
And the bromance. No.
Oh.
The Sungkwan, Gunsu, and Seroyi. You know.
No.
Oh.
Talking about the main love triangle.
It's kind of meh.
I guess they had to have it. I think it's a nice little, a nice little wrinkle in the plot.
It's okay.
Something that's parallel to the main storyline of revenge, because they kind of drag it out the entire time. I mean, from episode 1, you have Sua and Seroyi, kind of the budding romance, and that kind of like gets extended all the way to the end. So it's like a major theme. But yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes as a man, like it's just not that interesting.
No,
to see like the romance, because there's no like real right answer of like, oh, should he have been with her or should he have been with her? Like it's like he just ends up who he ends up with, and it's like, oh, cool. But personally, if I had to choose a side, it's tough. I think I'd probably go with Sua though.
Just off of
one he doesn't end up with. Just off nostalgia, I think like from the beginning, they were like kind of destined to be with each other based on like the first episode. They kind of like crossed paths after he got out of prison. They crossed paths like after he got out of the fishing vessel. It was kind of like fateful encounters that they had with each other. And I think that would really like change both of their lives. I think it would have been really nice and beautiful if they got together in the end, but that's not what happened.
No, I guess I really didn't care about the romance enough to like have a like side. All
right, that's fair. That's fair.
I'm like all these people kind of seem a little irritating to me, so I'm like,
no, that's yeah. Because in the romance, it's like both people are a little bit irritating. Well, Seroyi's like not at all, but
yeah, he's too good for them. God.
Yeah, he just needs to. He's just too good for everyone, really.
Yeah.
No, but like it was in a way that it's not that he's too good. It's like he's so good that he can lift up the other person, and that's why I think he could have been with Sua, because he can just like take care of her, and he's good enough for both of them. But yeah, I understand that you have no opinion about this.
Yeah, there was no best girl in this show.
That's true. The Seroyi of women.
Yeah.
There was just the best guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It was meh. I like the main story. I like the whole aspect of persevering. The romance was definitely like a third seat kind of plot thing.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, overall, really good show. Recommend it. I'd say it's
Yeah,
a solid 9 out of 10.
that's real solid.
Yeah, I wouldn't
That's
give
real
it a
solid.
10 because I don't think anything really gets a 10, in my opinion. But a 9 is like pretty high up there.
I'll give it 8.5.
Yeah, that because 8.5 is about what I give Game of Thrones. And then the ending definitely dropped it to a 7.
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
Yeah, you should just close just for the closure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of doing, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Yeah, it's like watching the last episodes of Rugrats or something, just for closure.
There's lots of, well, that's like the last episodes of Itaewon Class.
Yeah.
Too. It's just for closure.
Yeah. But speaking of Rugrats, what are some other good Netflix Korean shows?
Well, I've only watched Squid Game,
Huh.
Itaewon Class, Vincenzo.
What about Crash Landing?
I watched like episode 1 of that, and I wasn't hooked. Yeah. What about you?
I liked Crash Landing. It was a solid 7.
It was it was like the number 1 show in Japan for a while, but why did you like it?
I'd say there's one main reason. Do you know what that reason is?
The guy?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, Hyunbin is pretty handsome.
Nice.
I don't know, but
nice.
I thought that was a pretty interesting show. I like the whole idea of the idea from the North Korean perspective, which kind of makes them more human. Especially with everything going on, it's nice to have a more human perspective of North Korea. Granted, it doesn't really address a lot of the bad stuff, which makes sense for a Korean drama.
Yeah. I didn't watch it, but from what I did see, it really it really probably like, well, it's kind of like the Halloween scene in Itaewon Class. It's just like, yeah, this is just like really sugar coated.
Yeah.
Well, that's really like every Korean drama's portrayal of Korea. It's like, whoa, this place is beautiful. And yeah, it is, but not as beautiful as like the cinematography and effects make it look
Better.
and plus just like jokes and stuff.
Yeah. We really don't see that in the dramas and series. You probably see that more in the movies and stuff where, they don't have to cater to the sponsors and paid advertisements or paid product placements. Yeah. Actually, I watched, did you hear about Hometown Cha-Cha-Cha?
I've seen it in the recommendations, but I don't know anything about it.
I actually liked it. It felt it had that kind of like country town vibe because it was. It's
I kind of got that from the thumbnail.
Yeah, it definitely sets you up into thinking or like understanding what it's about pretty fast. Yeah, it's a very opposites attract kind of like, it felt a little slow, but like a good kind of slow kind of thing, like maybe kind of like how Where the
Like
Camellia
the
Blooms
countryside
kind of thing. Yeah.
I enjoy some countryside.
Yeah, I would recommend that too. Wait, what was the other one that you said you watched?
Vincenzo.
Vincenzo. Vincenzo Tortellini. You know what's his name?
I forget. Maybe it is tortellini. I don't know.
I gotta look it up.
Vincenzo spaghetti.
Vincenzo ravioli. Oh god, I gotta stop. This is just gonna Italian people. My bad, bro. My bad, Italian guys.
It's not. It's nothing personal, but
Vincenzo Casano.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. But yeah, it does make, in my opinion, it kind of does make a mockery of Italy and Italians more than we just did.
It kind of does. I don't know. It just it's it's like they're trying to be less offensive in their like stereotyping, you know?
Yeah,
Like, guys, it's cool.
it's just a blatant. The stereotypes are just. This goes back to like if Itaewon Class was breaking out of these stereotypes and like going against them, this just goes back and just double down. Like not doesn't double down, but it's just stereotyping.
It submerges itself completely in it.
It's just like, yeah, we'll do that. We'll stereotype.
Yeah, because was it he likes drinking wine. He wears good Italian suits. He's prone to violence. What else? Yeah, I mean, his character was a mafia consigliere. Is that what they say?
Yeah.
But yeah, the fact of having a Korean mafia member is pretty weird. Like, I'm pretty sure the Italian mafia keeps it Italian.
I don't know. I have no idea, but
if you know about mafias,
yeah,
please
well,
comment.
overall, it was more of a goofy show.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, Itaewon Class is not rooted in reality. It had highly idealistic characters.
Yeah,
I mean, a larger than life situation, but the interactions were fairly believable.
Yeah.
But yeah, in Vincenzo, it was more it wasn't trying to be realistic, I believe. It was just an entertainment type of thing.
It was very entertaining, though. I was entertained. Well,
yeah, I was entertained. I watched it from beginning to end.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, like the tenants of that building, they were all just caricature characters. They were
pretty one-dimensional.
Like all of them had one dimension.
Yeah.
And they all just interacted for jokes.
No, yeah. I don't know. It kind of reminded me like of a 90s or maybe 2000s movie a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely didn't take itself seriously.
Yeah. Oh, I got
Which is a style.
It felt like almost like Beverly Hills Cop kind of movie, except in Korea with the mafia. You know?
I didn't watch that.
Oh, but, Beverly Hills, yeah, that's not bad. Or like Blue Streak, or like with like Martin Lawrence or stuff like that. Or it's like somebody who doesn't normally belong in a certain area or like place gets transported to somewhere else, and then yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely more lighthearted.
Yeah.
What did you think about the villain?
Which one? Oh, the older brother one. It was I actually kind of liked him. It wasn't that bad.
It was kind of funny, like that he was just like disguised in the beginning.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Not that spoilerish because it was pretty early that he revealed himself.
I think like third or fourth episode.
Yeah. But yeah, just I don't know. That was kind of strange.
I was like, but, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. He totally like changed his image. I couldn't really take him that seriously after that. But yeah, and then like he dies a pretty gruesome death.
Oh yeah. They have to. They have to. I actually like the younger brother. The one who
that was my favorite character.
The fake chairman guy. Yeah. He was so dumb, but character. I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I related to him a bit.
He was just like a golden retriever. He was just like
smiling.
He was in over his head, really. He was kind of getting manipulated by the other characters. Like he didn't really have the cleverness to get into a situation that he wanted, but yeah, he did some bad stuff, I guess, but you could see that, he kind of just wanted to get out of there, but he just couldn't.
He was pretty dumb as bricks, though. I mean, you have to.
Yeah, he had like the opposite transformation as the main villain.
Yeah,
the main villain went from some like I don't know, like goofy
intern or whatever
kind of like character into like some really like dastardly guy, and then the younger brother went from like evil CEO sort of like image into just like some like lovable puppy by the end.
It's like, come on, bro, let's just play hockey and it'll be cool. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, he was probably. Although I did like Lawyer Hong. She was pretty funny.
Yeah. Yeah, she's funny.
Yeah.
She's good.
And then was that the secret agent?
Oh yeah. See, that's like that 90s style of thing where he's like a CIA or whatever Korea's CIA is agent, but he's really kind of a joke at the same time, just like competent but incompetent at the same time. Like the guy who like makes really like dumb decisions and kind of looks dumb, but then at the end he's clutch.
Yeah.
For some reason.
Was it? It's like, oh my god. I feel like he came back to Korea because he had some sort of lifelong thing he needs to take care of, but he's really a good person. It's just he was probably in bad situations, but he's trying to make up for his bad past by taking care of these people and teaching these youth how to be better. I don't know, like that just kind of humor just clicked with me. So I'm like, this guy's dumb, but I can kind of I like it.
Yeah, I guess like I had kind of like the wrong expectations going in. It really is just a comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of the day, it's just a comedy. It does have like some dark moments, I guess. Yeah, but overall, I guess it's a comedy.
I mean, was it? I definitely liked his interactions with the chef.
Oh yeah,
definitely put a smile.
That was one of the most ridiculous characters.
Yeah, like
of the entire show.
That's almost
because
like,
he even just his look was just ridiculous.
Yeah, that was almost like Breakfast at Tiffany level of like, bro, that's a little too much, bro. Like, take it a step back. Like you could tell he was still playing a Korean dude, so it's like not racist, but kind of racist because it's like. It's like, what's the story? He spent one summer in Italy and all of a sudden he just acts like this. It's like, does that happen?
Yeah, that was the joke, I guess. But yeah, he had like the curled mustache and like basically always wearing a chef's hat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That guy was just so ridiculous.
It's funny every time he ate at his restaurant. He's like, I wouldn't serve this to my mother. It's like he just put the money on the table and just walk out. Oh, yeah. There were definitely some really good moments, but yeah, it's not the kind of show you should watch seriously. Which, yeah, watching it seriously definitely ruins the appeal of that show.
Yeah, if you're looking for something to think about, don't watch it.
Yeah.
If you're looking to be entertained for 10 to 15 hours, go for it.
Yeah, if you're looking for some like was it I Spy or like Steve Carell's level of like, or like Steve Carell 2000s level of humor, if you like that, you'll probably like Vincenzo.
Yeah. It's just like I was kind of expecting some sort of drama, like Korean drama, but yeah, it really is just a comedy.
Yeah, it definitely does it well, though. I think it does it well.
Yeah, it does. It's situational, I think. It doesn't really touch on anything in society. No. It doesn't really reference anything. It's just all self-contained comedy.
Yeah. I'd say as a comedy, it'd probably get an 8. As a show overall, it's like a 6.5, maybe. Yeah,
I'd give it a 6 as a show overall. It's just like wasn't my cup of tea. But I did watch the whole thing, so yeah, I can't give it less than a 5. Yeah, with some slight, arguably racism and stereotypes thrown in.
Yeah, just watch out.
So
for
really
those.
Is the 90s.
I mean, you can't be 90s without a little bit of racist.
Yeah, just a little bit.
What else did I watch? I actually don't remember. I started watching Hellbound. Like literally like before I started talking to or filming this. That's not bad.
Is that good?
It's
nice.
if you haven't seen the trailer for it, you should probably go see it because it only came out like as of time recording in December. I think it only came out like a month ago, but it's interesting because it's like these creatures or people are supposedly getting sent to hell, and like so they're getting like a visit from like an angel who tells them when they're gonna die, and then like at that time of the angel tells them, then these creatures come and they kind of just beat you up and then send you to hell. Yeah, that's pretty much the premise.
Is it serious?
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Okay.
Like there's no laughing
So
point.
it's not Vincenzo.
No.
Okay.
It's like Squid Game's level of like seriousness kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say go watch the trailer now because it definitely looks dark, and after watching the first episode, it's interesting.
Controversial topic detected. Evasive maneuvers in progress. Topic avoided.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna stop talking about that.
Yeah, I think we can stop talking about that. We might open a can of worms if we haven't already.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so looks like Netflix is coming out with a lot of cool Korean dramas, Korean shows.
Yeah.
That span from inspirational stories like Itaewon Class to just comedies like Vincenzo, to some more serious but memeable like Squid Game, and serious like Hellbound, heartwarming like Hometown Cha Cha Cha. Yeah, so there's lots out there, and I think
that's not even including all the variety shows they're starting to bring, like Knowing Brothers or Men on a Mission, or like Pick Spirits, The Hungry and the Hairy, Hyori's Bed and Breakfast, really good show. Yeah, there's so many Korean shows on Netflix, and that's not even including like Japanese shows. I think they have Chinese shows too. You know, Netflix is really expanding their library, which is really cool.
That's cool. Wait, is the Bed and Breakfast one the one where they like cook and stuff?
Yeah, that's the one I showed you like a couple years back.
And Park Seroyi, isn't it?
No.
Or Park Sojun?
No. Park Bo-gum is in season 2.
Oh, what?
Yeah. So
I was watching one with Park Sojun.
Oh no, that's Yoon's Kitchen.
Oh, Yoon's Kitchen. All right, yeah.
Completely different one. Because so in Hyori's first house, Lee Hyori, who if you don't know, she's a pretty famous singer in Korea. She bought her house in Jeju, and then she lived there for a long time. And then I guess she was approached by a TV show to host like a small little like people can stay at her house. That's a bed and breakfast kind of thing. And yeah, so it's pretty much like how it sounds. People would stay like a couple of days, go around Jeju Island, which is kind of like the Hawaii of Korea. I feel like that's pretty accurate.
I have never been there, but I guess so.
Because I mean,
like the Okinawa.
Yeah, or Okinawa, because it's like a tropical area with like a lot of good hiking and nature and like swimming areas and like
the place that you go on vacation. Like if you don't have time or you don't have the money to go to like Hawaii.
Yeah, pretty much
of Korea.
Yeah. So yeah, they pretty much have. I think the studio probably selects a bunch of people to send there, and then they just sleep at their house. Like so, they had people sleep in their studio or in their bedroom or like in like different parts of the house, which is pretty interesting. And they had IU work as an assistant for like the first season, and then they had Lim Yuna from Girls' Generation in the second season, and then Park Bo-gum in that second season too. It's very chill. I like it.
Huh. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Another chill recommendation.
Yeah, if you like to chill, then you're in the right place because we're chilling.
And we're millennials.
As millennials. Hey! So if you probably like to chill if you've gotten this far. And all those recommendations from Ian about these Korean shows, pretty chill. Oh, have you seen Solitary Gourmet?
No. What is that?
That's a Japanese show. It's on Netflix. It's called Solitary Gourmet.
Huh.
I think it's based on a manga, and it's basically a Japanese salaryman who each episode he goes to like a different restaurant, or he's like it's just like a real life situation where he's like wandering the streets of a different like neighborhood in Tokyo. Maybe he's there on business. Maybe he's like just walking around, and then he just like gets hungry and then goes to a restaurant. And yeah, there's like no plot. I mean, it's like situational, but there's no overarching plot. It's just chill, where like it kind of feels like you're walking around Tokyo. It kind of feels like you went into like a random neighborhood restaurant and you're trying the food there. And yeah, there's no like big conflicts in the show or anything like that. It's just kind of like chilling.
Actually, this does sound pretty good because yeah, that was one of my favorite things to do in Japan, which is just walk around and then just find a random place and talk in broken Japanese and try to get some food. You know?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it was actually pretty popular in Korea as well. But yeah, it's called Solitary Gourmet on Netflix. I've been watching it like every time I've sat down to eat. It's just like pretty chill. It's like one of those shows where it's like you can just turn it off at any time because it's not like any cliffhangers or nothing's really happening at the end of the day. It's just like wandering through the neighborhoods and eating and stuff.
That seems really Japanese for some reason.
Yeah, I think so. They have an appreciation for
melancholy
things with no plot.
I mean, actually, I think there is a subgenre within like slice of life anime called like melancholy. Like that's an actual thing in like Japanese anime, or like definite element in Japanese anime.
Yeah, it's they come up with everything basically.
Yeah,
in Japan.
That's a good recommendation. I'll definitely have to look that up.
Yeah, you should check it out.
And The Witcher 2. The Witcher 2. It just came out.
Okay, yeah. Witcher 2. I didn't watch Witcher, so...
Did you play the game?
Or play. No.
Oh, but we can talk about that later. I feel like we're dragging this on a lot.
Yeah, so hope you enjoyed today's episode of the Chilling with Millennials podcast. I hope you enjoyed chilling, talking about some Korean dramas, talking about a little bit about Netflix, and yeah, this was Dustin
and Ian.
I don't even know if that's part of like the routine, but
there was no routine.
Have a good life.
Oh, you did it. Good job.
Yep. Bye.